What's good, duelists? Amazing Mike Man here, and Jurrac is finally in Master Duel. This is incredible news because Jurrac is insanely better in Master Duel than it is in the TCG as of right now. In Master Duel, we have Horned Brute Carnivorous, this guy, and we have 3 Misk as well. Carnivorous opens up combo lines that allow us to cut a lot of bricks, like Xenometeorus and the babies, giving us way more room for non-engine and allows us to play Dominus Impulse. We'll go more into detail about that in a bit. Having 3 Misk is absolutely nuts, not just for making our guys unaffected, but having 3 means we have a much better grind game. I wasn't just excited to play with full power Jurrac in Master Duel, I had to destroy with them. So, I set out on a mission to make it to Master Rank Tier 1, playing only my Jurrac deck and nothing else. And this I achieved. But my quest is far from over. I have more missions to accomplish with my trusty Jurracs, like conquering regionals, YCSs, nationals, and retro formats like Tengu and Redo. You see, I've loved Jurracs ever since I was a young baby Sarasaurus. At the time, I was some broke middle school kid with no understanding of the depth of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, not even card advantage. I just played with my boys, loving my Jurrac beatdown deck. Of course, I didn't compete seriously back then, but these memories ignited a life-changing flame. When I revisited Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! In the early 2020s, I was stoked to play with my favorite deck of all time, but I quickly learned that Jurracs had basically 0 mark in the game's competitive history, so I embarked on a journey to make Jurracs as competitive as possible. I spent countless hours learning, testing, trying out different techs, competing and pushing Jurracs to their limit to make them a real contender in the Tengu plant scene. This paid off, and I won a couple tournaments in both Tengu format and later on in Redo format too, and this was incredible. But I often found myself thinking, wishing, I had my competitive knowledge and abilities back during 2011 and 2012. I know for a fact that if I went back in time, I could conquer an event and cement Jurracs in the competitive history of the game. But time travel doesn't exist, so my focus was to take Jurracs to the top in the extremely niche community that is Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's not even Edison, it's like even more niche. But then, for the first time in 12 years, Jurrac support was finally announced. This was my chance. I was just some kid back in 2011, but now I can do it. I can and will cement Jurracs in the competitive history of the game. This is my mission. If you think Seto Kaiba was obsessed with Blue Eyes, you haven't met me. I am Amazing Mike Man, the Jurrac duelist. Let's take a look at the list. We're on 2 Aeolo, which is necessary for the Stego combo. We're also on 3 Megalo, which is also necessary for the Stego combo, but also decent to draw as a combo piece. Of course, we're on the Master Duel staples, 2 Maxi, 3 Ash, and we gotta be on 3 Misk, baby. Have you read this card? We're also on 3 Overraptor. I've seen some people choose to play 2, I like having 3. Having 3 Overraptor helps boost consistency, being one of your starters as well as a combo piece. Also, if you open Overraptor and Stego, that's perfectly fine. That means your Overraptor in hand is the follow-up, so your Stego combo can be a bit more aggressive and not tailored in a way to guarantee you follow-up, but rather tailored towards building a stronger board. We're on 3 Fuelos. This deck can actually Mulcharmy the opponent even if we go first, since we're board wiping after all. We're on 3 Stego, the amazing 1-card combo. We're also on 1 Dogran because this is a best of 1 format, and sometimes having a searchable kaiju can get you out of a pinch, especially when you need to out something that's unaffected. Dogran certainly is not bad to draw, especially when you go second. I'm on 1 UCT because he helps you close out games. I don't summon him as part of my end board like I've seen some other players do. I only use him on the follow-up turn when I'm trying to OTK my opponent, or if I'm OTKing going second. You really shouldn't summon UCT as part of your end board because you're going to be nuking it. You don't want to nuke your own UCT. We're on 3 Falsadig, of course, one of the best search spells in the game, with no restriction in being able to search us our starter or Misk. I'm on 3 Volcano. I like having the extender to help us push past interruption. Normal summoning Overraptor, they Veiler or Ash it, or Imperm, and then you activate Volcano, pop it, go into Stego full combo, feels amazing. We're on 2 Called By and 1 Crossout to counter hand traps. I do believe it is worth it to play the 1-of Jurrac Impact. Having Impact makes your board significantly stronger and more resilient. Being able to chain to continuous spells and traps to prevent on-activation effects is very strong. A 4th nuke is great, but also you can use Impact to protect your board. If the opponent uses a breaker like Evenly Matched or Ultimate Slayer, sending the Synchro Malong, your board can be removed from the game, but chaining Impact keeps your Asteros safe by sending them to the graveyard. Lastly, for the main deck, I'm on 3 Imperm and 3 Impulse. Since I'm not on any babies, I can freely play 3 Impulse. But remember, if you use Impulse, you can't use UCT's effect to flip the opponent's field face down, or a Maxi or Ophualos after the Impulse. You may be wondering why I'm not on any babies, Xenometeorus, Ground Xeno, Archosaur, Pill, Catotera, Giant Rex, Scrap Raptor, Lost World, etc. I always get these questions. I'm aiming for a maximum consistency build and cutting as many bricks as possible. I really don't want to be playing babies in Jurrac, because if you're on babies, you will draw unplayable hands with baby plus Aeolo or baby plus Megalo. You already don't want to see Aeolo plus Megalo, so throwing babies in the deck significantly hurts consistency. All the other engines involve even more bricks, like the Pill for Archosaur, Poly for Catotera, Giant Rex itself as a brick, Scrap Chimera for Scrap Raptor, a Vanilla for Xenometeorus if you want to go that route. And as for Lost World, it suffers the same problem as the babies, since you need to pair it with something else. At least when you go first. You need to pair it with something to pop the token, which Megalo and Aeolo cannot do when you go first. If you go second, I suppose you can attack into it, but, you know, in today's modern Yu-Gi-Oh, are you really going to bank everything on an attack going through when there's so much removal and all kinds of interaction? For our extra deck, we're on 1 Velfito, which is necessary for the combo to climb into either Carnivorous, Astero, or Meteor. Of course, we're going to be on 3 Meteor and 3 Astero, the stars of the deck. Chenging is great for follow-up in certain situations where you need to banish the opponent's field and or graveyard. He pairs really well with your nukes, since you can protect him, but also banishing your Asteros trigger his effect to banish the opponent's cards. Also, summoning UCT can trigger his effect too. The Evolzars, Logia, and Dolka, the goats, they come up in grindy situations. Dugaris is just here for OTKing. And Grenosaurus is a good option for when you're Dino locked or you need to finish off the opponent. Pause. Relinquished Anima and SP Little Knight, they can come up in grindy situations, but you don't really want to be in a situation where you're summoning these two, because that means you couldn't do the main game plan, and you were bricked or you were severely interrupted. You can also play Baron de Flor, since it is legal in Master Duel, but I'm not sure what to cut for him. And honestly, if I'm in the grind, I'd rather make Cheng Ying than Baron anyway, since Baron can survive the meteors and provides non-destruction removal, which covers what the meteors cannot out. Before we get into the replays, a quick side note. I tested out a few different techs during my grind to Masters, like Ghostbell or main deck Duster and Heavy. I ultimately cut them. For Ghostbell, she was too low impact and conflicted with Dominus Impulse. Duster and Heavy were underwhelming in my experience. They were either dead when I went first, or they didn't do enough when I went second. And that is the deck profile. Let's get into some juicy replays. Alright fellas, our first replay is going to be up against a blind second, like Striker Tenpai deck. And this is going to be a perfect example of the game plan of what the deck is supposed to do with the 1-card combo. So it's a pretty nutty hand, first or second. I mean, three hand traps and Misk plus Stego is like the dream hand. So here we're gonna normal Stego. We have Misk for protection, and we're just gonna go full combo. We get that second Misk, so if we need to use this, we have 2 Misk, 1 for in the grave for this turn, and then 1 for like follow-up, right? It's gonna be pretty nasty. So Stego, send Misk, get 4 out, and this is how we're gonna climb into our first Astero. We're gonna make Velfito, and then climb with that Velfito up into Horned Brute Carnivorous. Aeolo, bring back Stego. Yep, y'all already know. And our boy Horned Brute Carnivorous. Man, I love this card. Fun fact, he's a rekindling target, as is Xenometeorus. Okay, so here we're gonna go Misk, banish 4 to summon Oviraptor from deck. Okay, and the 4 you banish, you have to ensure that you're banishing. It's always safe to banish 1 of each, right? Because you want to keep 1 Aeolo and 1 Megalo in the grave, and you don't need Velfito. So 1 Aeolo, 1 Megalo, 1 Misk guarantees you have the others. So we're going to get that Oviraptor, and we're going to actually have Oviraptor search Oviraptor, so we have guaranteed follow-up, right? Because if we don't have Misk, let's say, we need to ensure that we have follow-up. If you don't have follow-up, you're just going to lose. So this is honestly the most important part of the step, is getting that second Oviraptor, so you can close out the game. So we're going to sync those 2, and make a good old Jurrac Astero. Activate effect. We're going to go ahead and set Jurrac Volcano. We're going to activate it. And we're actually going to pop Astero with Volcano. The reason we're doing that is so we can get our 3rd Megalo into play, and when this Megalo is popped, we can send Astero to graveyard. And Overraptor can only target a level 4 or lower level 4 or lower dinosaur on the field, so you can't have like Overraptor pop Astero. So that's why you needed to pop Astero with Volcano. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Ovi pop Megalo to revive the Horned Brute Carnivorous. Now Megalo is gonna send our second Astero to the grave, and then we could sync those two off for our third Astero. This way, our combo gets all 3 Asteros into play, and if you have all 3 into play, whether it's field or grave, you have 3 nukes on the opponent's turn. But because we're playing Jurrac Impact, we can get our 4th nuke set up. There we go, and this is the end board. It doesn't seem like much, but it's incredibly layered. We have Spell and Trap Interruption, we have Graveyard Interruption, and we have a boss monster. Not to mention, that doesn't factor in the other 4 cards in our hand, which in this case is 3 hand traps. And I mean, Misk is a hand trap too, but Misk is more so like a protection card. So this is just gonna be really tough for the opponent to out. So let's see if a deck built almost entirely of board breakers can do that. It's Tenpai Striker. And I set the Imperm as well. You can also hold Imperm too, because it's weird, like if they don't play into the Imperm, because usually people are gonna use the like breakers and stuff to force out, you know, things like Impact. So there is a valid argument to be made to hold the Imperm in your hand, and then that way after you nuke and they start using their engine cards, you have the Imperm to stop them. So that's also a solid strategy. So they're going to use Ultimate Slayer, sending the Synchro. And what I do is I chain Impact. The reason is because this is going to shuffle back Astero. I don't really want that to happen. So, and I can't chain Misk because this doesn't let me chain monster effects. So I have to chain Impact to protect it because I'd rather him be in the graveyard. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. This also, same thing applies to Evenly Matched. If they evenly matched you, obviously you don't want your stuff banished face down, right? And you could like banish everything else. I'd rather just ensure everything's in the graveyard, especially if you have like 2 Asteros on field, right? Which certain combos can result in 2 Asteros on field. This is just a simple 1-card combo, but there's, you know, many other like variations, like Ovi plus Megalo, Ovi plus Misk, Volcano plus Megalo, Volcano plus Ovi, plenty of 2-card combos that also get you a different end board, and a good chunk of those end boards involve 2 Asteros. So we're gonna flip Impact to protect our board, and now it's like, unless he has Called by the Grave, we are chilling. And even if he does have Called by the Grave, that only clears 1, because we're just gonna chain Astero so he doesn't negate all 3, and he'll still have to play through 2 nukes. So he goes for the Striker Engine. And I don't even want to let him get Kagari to recycle Engage and draw more cards. So I just pop the first token. Goes for Engage, gets Widow Anchor. And he drops a Maxi. He must have drawn it off Engage. Right, yeah. So he summons the Tenpai, gets Sengen Summoning. And here I have to nuke because I can't let that, you know, get out of hand. And I have Impulse to stop that card. And end phase, I just go and nuke the back row. So he wasn't really able to play through the nukes plus the hand traps. Super polys, but that's not going to stop the effect of Meteor. So I'm still going to nuke his board, whatever his face down is. I'm pretty sure it's like Imperm. What was it? Oh, it was Widow Anchor, essentially Imperm. So here is the important thing, right? After you nuke with Meteor, you're going to bring back a tuner. It could be Aeolo or Megalo, it doesn't really matter, because what you're going to do, the Overraptor that you searched during your combo, you're going to normal summon Overraptor. Use Ovi's effect to search UCT. Ovi will pop the Megalo, bring back a level 4. That's why it's very important you keep the Stego Engrave when you're nuking the opponent. Banish like everything but a level 1 tuner, Megalo or Aeolo, and Stego. You keep these 2, right? Because these are what you need. Because this will be revived by Meteor, and then Ovi will trade this for Stego. You're going to overlay these 2 into Dugaris, summon the UCT you searched off of Ovi, and that's going to be game. And then you just close out the game from here. And then he ashes the Megalo. He should have asked the Ovi, but in this case I had Misk, so it didn't really matter. Because it's like, I already have all 3 Asteros in play. I was just sending a monster off of Megalo's effect, just a deck thing at this point. So, like I said, Dugaris, boost UCT to 7,000, and that is game, 8,200 points of damage. That is the game plan. This is the frame you want to follow. You want to try to do this when you go first. Okay, so this replay is going to be up against a Ryzeal player, and they Mulcharmy us, right? They're going to drop Perulia. And Perulia doesn't really do much to this deck, so that's going to be totally fine. And this is going to be an interesting situation here. This is going to be the Misk plus Overactor combo. Specifically, it's going to be pretty good because we actually drew a brick, and in this case, it's good that we drew Impact. You'll see why. We're going to normal Ovi, protected by Misk, pretty solid. And we're going to Misk, banish, get our Megalo on field, right? And here, Megalo is going to discard 2 to draw 2. And that's pretty strong. Now we have the Misk for the opponent's turn if they have like some way to negate, some way to try to negate meteors. So it's pretty good. We get value. We trade out the bricks, get more valuable cards. Because until you don't want to discard your hand, instead of that, you would just have Overraptor send the Stego. So you can either have Overraptor add or send the Stego depending on what's going on. If you want to play around Droll, well, actually, you know, Droll is fine. Droll, you don't even search much. So yeah, it's really just depends on your hand. If you want to keep the cards, you could just add them. If not, you could just dump Stego. But in this case, we wanted to pitch that impact. So, or if it's like a Mulcharmy or something that you don't want to use, you could just pitch the Stego plus Mulcharmy or something, or like Stego plus Doggeran. So here we're gonna have Overraptor pop Megalo get to Stego. And once you have Stego, you got full combo. We're gonna have Megalo send Astero, and we're gonna have Stego send Misk, so we have like a lot of follow-up in play, and we're gonna get all these guys into play. We're gonna sync, we're gonna climb into our first Astero here. We're gonna make our boy Hornbrute Carnivorous and sync into Astero. Astero's gonna activate his effect, setting impact. You might be wondering why not go into Volcano. Well, here is why. Because this is actually the end board you want. Because you have essentially the full board. I know you don't have 3 Asteros into play, but you do in a sense, right? Because you have this Megalo right here. When you flip impact, you're gonna nuke this Megalo, and that's gonna activate sending your 3rd Astero. So you essentially do have 3 Asteros into play, and you have a follow-up in the form of the Misk in the grave, right? Because even though you did use that first Misk, when you activated Stego, let's pretend this Misk isn't even in our hand, right? When you use that first Misk to special Megalo, you still have this Misk in the graveyard that you sent off of Stego, and you have like the Velfito and the Overraptor and like plenty of dinos to banish for it, so you have plenty of gas to get another Overraptor. So you have follow-up in the form of Misk, and you have 4 nukes. You essentially have the same board, just in a different way. Not to mention we have Ghost Bell, we have Doggeran if they do summon a problem monster. They Impermos, we chain Misk, and then they chain Called By, targeting Astero, which is correct. You want to target Astero in that case, not Misk. And I chain Ghost Bell, and they just scoop. I mean, I don't blame them. I kind of had the God Hand. All right, next replay, guys. Okay, this replay is going to be a pretty scary one. This is going to be up against Tier Limit Fiendsmith. Now, those 2 engines are very grindy, and they want to be in the graveyard. So nuking them is kind of awkward, because, you can nuke them and trigger their effects, or they're just, grindy. It's a bit tougher to deal with. So this is going to be a perfect example of why we play Cheng Ying. So we go first, and this is a rough hand for sure. So what we have to do here is we have to special Megalo, pitch Impact, and probably Fualos, because Maxi Impulse are just really strong. We want to keep those. And yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to pitch those, draw 2, and we draw Overraptor. An Overraptor or a Volcano was like the perfect card we needed. There was about 9 cards in deck that could have saved us. That's the 3 Fossil Dig, Overraptor, Volcano. It's Stego too, so like 12 cards that could have saved us. Yeah, so we're gonna go Overraptor, send Stego, because we already used the pitch 2 draw 2 effect, and we're gonna pop Megalo, revive Stego. Megalo will trigger, sending Astero. We're gonna pop, send, special 4. God, I love Jurrac Stego, man. Such a broken card. Foolish, Burial, and Soul Charge from deck. That thing is nuts. So we're gonna climb into Astero. You guys have seen it before. And Astero will activate the effect, setting impact. So it's essentially the same kind of combo we did before when it's like an Overraptor 2-card combo. Sometimes you'll end in this sort of like half board without Meteor. And I'm sorry, without Volcano. And take a look. Same thing, you banished Misk for 1, but you have the second Misk in the grave plus all these dinosaurs to banish for your Overraptor for follow-up. So you got 4 nukes plus follow-up. Essentially, you have the same board. We got Max C and Impulse and Called By. This is a pretty strong board. So they're gonna go with Fiendsmith's track. And I used Called By on Lurie. That was stupid. I should have definitely held it for like a Fiendsmith card, like Engraver or Requiem or something. But I'm gonna go ahead and negate the Requiem summon. And he goes Talents. He tries to steal my Astero, and then I just nuke. Right, so this is what I'm saying about Impact, right? Impact is just very versatile against breakers. There's a lot of situations where you can just flip Impact to protect your board from things like that. So it's pretty nice. We're gonna go with Megalo Send, and now we got 3 nukes in grave, 3 Asteros. And the opponent's gonna try to play through 3 nukes. Let's see if they can do it. Oh, and a Maxi, and an Impulse. So I summon Meteor to get rid of that Engraver. Now, it's interesting because, like, I'm actually not sure about the ruling on this. I think the reason I did that was because I wasn't sure if, because I negated the summon of the Fiendsmith Link 1, and I know that one says you can only summon it once per turn. So I wasn't sure if, like, the summon was negated and you shuffle it back, because he did shuffle it back with the tier limit card. I wasn't sure if he was able to summon it again or not, so it's better to be safe than sorry. But yeah. I'm drawing off a Maxi. It's a very good Maxi. And he's just activating cards. I Dominus Impulse, one of the tier limit cards. And yeah, he's just doing a bunch of combo stuff, and I am gonna nuke the fuck out of him. Now it always feels bad nuking tier limit cards because they get effects when you do that. You know what I mean? It's like shit. But my interruption is gonna be enough, and I have the end phase nuke. So see, this is a situation where I did use all 4 nukes. 3, I don't know if 3 would have done it, man. But 4 was able to do the trick, and I cleared all that back row. And yeah, he gets a couple effects. He adds that one. And here's why Chenging's important, because this deck is so floaty, man. I could nuke and nuke and nuke, but I'm just going to trigger their effects, and they're going to have resilient cards. So it's really important to have access to banishing removal, or some other form of removal, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to summon Changing, right? Because I don't want to continue to send their shit to the graveyard and trigger all their effects. So what I'm going to do here is make Changing to close this out. And Changing is going to be really good in this matchup because if I banish things, I can, if I banish Asteros, banish for Misk, banish for UCT, I can just banish his stuff. And also he's protected by his own effect, so my nukes won't affect him. And yeah, I just banish his stuff and go for game. And he scoops. I don't know if that was exactly game, maybe. It was like 4,035. Yeah, it's probably game. Okay, so this hand is absolute gas. This is going to be our replay against Maliss. Let's see how this plays out. So this hand, I'm going to go ahead Falso Dig. Instead of Falso Digging for Stego, I Falso Dig for Overraptor. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and Overraptor. And the reason I Falso Dig for Overraptor is because of I opened Volcano and Misk. So this hand has a lot of gas. And the reason I start with normal summoning Overraptor instead of like Falso Digging for like... Because there's a valid argument to be made where you could Falso Dig, use your second Falso Dig and search Misk. And then just like get that early Misk protection, just a blanket protection. But what I want to do here is I want to force out all his hand traps and force out all his interruption because I have so much gas that like he could have like Imperm, Valor, and like everything. And I could still push through it all. Because what is he has Valor here. I could chain Misk, and let's say he has he has Valor. Valor's the Overraptor, I could chain Misk, and then he imperms it. That's fine. I can go Volcano, pop Ovi, and special summon Stego, right? So that's the game plan here. So I chain Misk, and then if he doesn't have imperm, I mean, you know, it's already nuts. But then he has imperm. So then that's like okay though, right? Because I could just Volcano, pop Ovi, get Misk, or get Stego, and then we're good. But then he has Ash. He ashes the Volcano. Isn't that crazy? So here I'm like, shit. What I do here is I'm gonna go ahead and Falsa Dig for Stego, and I go Misk, Banish, Special Megalo, discard 2, add 2. Now the reason I did that, honestly, for some reason, I think it was a brain fart. Overraptor, I forgot was negated, and I was kind of under the impression it was like more like an Ash and less of a Valor. So I was gonna have Ovi, pop, Megalo, get Stego, and go full combo, but that wasn't the case here. What I should have done is I should have added Megalo and had Megalo special summon itself, because that would have been in a better situation. That's like a different combo line where you get like Mulcharmid and you want to get like 2 Megalos in rotation because the one summoned off of Misk, end phase it'll get popped. But either way, we're still in a pretty okay spot. We drew into Overraptor, it's going to be a follow-up, and end phase Misk is going to pop Megalo, which means he can send Astero. So we're going to have at the very least 1 nuke, but we can have up to 3 nukes because of Volcano, and I'll kind of explain how that works in a minute. So we're gonna have Megalo, send Astero. So if the opponent plays into Volcano, Volcano will summon our first Meteor that's gonna nuke everything, and Meteor can revive a tuner. You're gonna go ahead and revive Megalo. Then you can have the Astero banish the Meteor engrave, summon your second Meteor, nuke everything including the Megalo, and then Megalo will send your second Astero, which will summon your third Meteor. Hope that makes sense. But if the opponent plays into it, we can have 3 nukes. If not, we'll have 1 nuke. So we'll see how this plays out. The cool thing is Maliss does play into Volcano pretty hard because they activate a lot of monster effects. Because they have the banish effect and then they have the on-field effect. So like just resolving like 2 Malisses like fully will turn on Volcano. So he's just doing the Maliss combo, and boom, Volcano's live. He summons Lingaribo, and I summon Meteor, and that is disastrous for the opponent, because this means I have all 3 nukes plus follow-up. So this is pretty much a guaranteed dub at this point. So we're gonna go ahead and nuke everything. I ash that. And bam. He's able to keep playing because Maliss is a powerful engine, but it doesn't matter because I have 2 more nukes. Right, because like I said, even though I don't have another Astero, I can easily get one as soon as this one's popped. This Megalo right here. And yep, he just scoops it up. And that was our replay versus Maliss. Okay, so this replay is going to be up against Maliss, and this is a pretty good hand, minus the Duster. We're going first, and we have Maxi, Impulse, Imperm, and plus Starter. It's like pretty good. So let's see how this plays out. We're going to go ahead and normal our starter, and we get Max Seed. Unfortunately, we have no way to stop it. So this is going to be a case study into what to do when you get Max Seed while piloting Jurrac. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually activate Misk, and we're going to summon Megalo, and then we're going to go end phase, Megalo effect. Oh, Megalo will be destroyed because of Misk, right? Misk pops the dinosaur during the end phase that you special summon. And unfortunately, the opponent has Ash. But if they did not Ash the Megalo, what would have essentially happened is we would have had 2 nukes on the opponent's turn. Because Megalo would have sent Astero, and then on the opponent's turn, Astero banished itself in Megalo, summon Meteor. Meteor nukes everything, including my 2 Megalos. And unfortunately, the sending effect is only once per turn, so only one of them will be able to activate. But they'll be able to send my other Astero, and I'll basically have 2 nukes in that case. But unfortunately, I don't have access to any because he ashed me. So if they have Maxi and Ash, that can be pretty rough. So let's play it out. But luckily in Master Duel, there are lots of counters to Maxi. This sort of situation shouldn't happen too often. I mean, we're on 3 Ash, called by, cross out. Let's see. So he sets for a lure. So this tells me probably bricked. So he banishes it and summons it. I go Maxi. And thankfully, he does not have a way to stop. Oh, no, he does. He drolls me. That's right. Yeah. But he's under droll too, so it's not all bad. So I imperm this, and he actually does have gas. So he didn't brick. He actually, this was a Maliss trap. He could have chained it. I don't know why he didn't. So we're just gonna go do Maliss combos. I'm not gonna speak too much on that. And yeah, see, like I said, that was a Maliss trap. So he's going and doing his thing. Now remember, I do have this impulse, and I have the imperm in the graveyard. What I do know about Maliss is stopping their splash mage can be pretty good. So that's what I'm gonna do. And let's hope that is enough. I'm really hoping. And he's just gonna go for this crazy combo, and there's the splash mage, and what do? I impulse that bitch. Yep, negate and destroy because I got a trap in the grave. Imperm. He kills a Megalo, or an Aolo, sorry. And now it's my turn. I got this Duster. But I think that's just another Maliss trap, so Duster's not doing shit. This is why I cut Duster, man. Unless you're on like fucking Tenpai or some shit where you just need a bunch of breakers. Yeah, Duster, in my experience, cutting, you know? Yeah, so he has a Maliss effect. I bring out Stego. And what I'm going to do here is essentially because I had one Aolo left over, I was able to recycle my Stego, and I do have access to follow-up. Because what Stego's going to do is Stego can pop and send. You can still activate this effect as long as you have a dinosaur in deck to send. You don't need to special summon. So I'm just going to use the Foolish Burial effect to get my Misk into play. So he's gonna just do some Maliss looping. And there we go, send Misk. And did he use this? No, he didn't. So, you know, I think the opponent probably misplayed. I will say that because he had the bounce. Oh wait, no, nothing's co-linked to it. He actually, never mind, he doesn't have the bounce. Yeah, I don't think he can do much to stop me here. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and add UCT. But I need more dinos in grave. That's why I synced and made Belfito. But I wanted to keep my Stero, right, in case for some reason this push wouldn't go through. And remember, I'm under Dominus Impulse, so my UCT cannot use the effect. So I really don't want to banish my Stero to summon UCT. It's just a 3200, or 35. Oh, it's swapped because of the Maliss. But, you know, I really don't want to banish my Stero to summon UCT because it's just a big bungus, right? So I really want my interruption here and to get his life points as low as possible. And luckily the Maliss effects help with that. So he wasn't at a full 8,000 when I started this. And now he just scooped it up because he was not gonna, I don't know if he was gonna live that, but even if not, I had a nuke, I had imperm. But I don't know, Maliss is crazy. Maybe if he lived it, I don't know. But yeah, that was the Maliss replay. Okay, so this is gonna be another Ryzeal replay. And this one's going to be quite interesting because I do an interesting combo here that you don't really go into too often, but you'll take a look. Just because of this, like, I had kind of an awkward hand, so you'll see. I go Misk, I banish Megalo, and activate Megalo's effect to pitch 2, draw 2. Because at this hand, I'm not going to do the Stego combo. It's just not going to happen. I opened like Misk plus Megalo plus Aolo. That hand wasn't gonna. I didn't have access to Stego, so I wasn't going to do the regular Stego combo, so I pitched it. Remember, if you pit, like at this point, I have one level 1 in the grave, one level 1 here. You need, in order to do the Stego combo, you need essentially 4 level 1s in hand your deck, and since I only play 5, I only have 3 here. 1 in hand, 2 in deck. So at this point, the Stego combo is impossible. So, yeah. So I pitched 2, draw 2, just draw into something good. I'm hoping to draw into an Overraptor. And I drew Falso Dig, which is pretty nice. And another Misk for protection and follow-up. Not bad. Ovi's going to send Stego. And this is a really interesting situation because I'm able to get the nuke into play, right? And special summon Megalo. And make Dolka. So what this is a pretty solid end board. It's fairly layered. What this means is I got a Dolka, so 2 monster negates, and I got a nuke. Right? And then that nuke is going to pop Megalo, giving me a second nuke. So he has to play through 2 monster negates and 2 nukes, plus Misk, plus an impulse. And all the interruption is from different places, so it's layered, you know? Let's see how the opponent plays through it. Again, it's not like a great board. It was kind of an awkward hand that led to the situation. But yeah. Now there is an argument. I probably should have used impulse to stop that to play around talents, right? I don't want to give him an early talents. But, and also it's like the best impulse target in Ryzeal. So, and I had a trap engrave. I could have negated and popped it. So, misplay on my part. I should have totally used impulse there. And speaking of which, he does get the talents draw too. And he draws it out of, he must have drawn into X'd because he would have started with X'd, right? So this leads me to believe that he talenced into X'd because X is inherent. So he could just inherent summon, and then this will chain block and negate my Dolka, forcing me to negate this. So he would have totally started with X'd if he opened it, but he did not. I really don't believe so. So yeah, his talents was able to draw him into X'd. Very unfortunate I wasn't able to get full value out of Dolka. So here I have to rely more on my nukes, but nukes are extremely effective against Ryzeal, I found, because they just can't really play through nukes too well. The meteors. He is called by. That's unfortunate. He calls by the Megalo. What he should have done is he should have called by the Astero like beforehand. That would have been really rough for me. So he goes Node, and this impulse was actually super powerful against Node. You know what? Maybe Node is the best impulse target because he has to pitch a card. So yeah, this is a very effective impulse right there. And now it's a pretty grindy game. I got one card in hand, he's got two. And I drew in a false dig. Just nice, you know. And he ashes that. That's totally fine because I have Misk. Yep, banish 4. You already know who it is. Ovi Raptor. And yeah, he scooped it up. And that was my journey of making it to Masters Rank 1 with Jurrac in Master Duel. There's going to be plenty more of Jurrac Conquest to come. Sub if you want to continue to watch that journey. And I hope you all have a great one. Peace out, guys.